Ashley, let's start with the police report from the day of the shooting. And that's where I always like to start, trying to figure out the evidence in a case.
It's important to start there because that is the moment of the incident, of the crime, and the first account that we get of Gregory McMichael. He's listed as a witness, and the police report has Officer Brandenbury, the reporting officer, speaking. And here it goes. I began speaking with Gregory McMichael, who was a witness to the incident. McMichael stated there have been several break-ins in the neighborhood, and further, the suspect was caught on surveillance video. McMichael stated he was in his front yard and saw the suspect from the break-ins, quote, hauling ass down Satilla Drive towards Burford Drive. McMichael stated he then ran inside his house and called to his son, Travis, and said, Travis, the guy is running down the street. Let's go. McMichael stated he grabbed his Magnum and Travis grabbed his shotgun because they, quote, didn't know if the male was armed or not. McMichael stated, quote, the other night, they saw the same male and he stuck his hands down his pants, which led them to believe the male was armed. Vinny, the first thing I thought there was, how convenient. You're a police officer by trade and an investigator, and you're looking at a dead man and you know that you and your son are in a lot of trouble. It's very convenient to say, gosh, yes, I saw this man some time ago with his hands, down his front waistband, and it looked like he was maybe reaching for a firearm, and that made me nervous. My first inclination was to say, I don't know. But then we looked down into the evidence, and wouldn't you know it, Vinny, is this critical information or is this a convenient excuse? We actually found something.
What did we find? And talking about these dispatch records of Travis McMichael making that 911 call, what did we find out there?
So it's really interesting to note there is this terrible, terrible tragedy on February 23rd, right? This is what we're talking about. But there were these incidents that they're referring to 2 weeks beforehand, saying that there were videos of a suspect breaking into a home down the street that's under construction. And we actually have a 911 transcript that Travis McMichael, the shooter in this incident, actually made 2 weeks prior. He called 911 because he saw somebody breaking into that house under construction. And let me read the transcript for you. It's the operator actually typing away, and it says this. Caller just caught someone in a house. BM, which usually means black male, red shirt, white shorts. The house is currently being built. The male is still in the house. Caller just chased him. Caller is sitting right across the street in his truck. Caller said the offender was reaching into his left pocket when he ran. No, this is 2 weeks before the shooting. So there's that note that he reached into his pocket before he ran. Caller can see a flashlight in the house now. The offender is still in the house. Caller said offender is around 6 feet. Caller said there are other neighbors around him right now, meaning other witnesses. Caller said he saw the male coming through a yard, and the male reached in his pocket and then took off running into the house. Caller said he has never seen this male in the neighborhood before. This is 2 weeks before Ahmaud Arbery was shot. And Travis McMichael is saying on a 911 call that he's seeing the guy reach into his pocket, not the waistband, but the pocket as he's running. He says it twice. So I suspect, Vinny, you're the lawyer, that this is something that the McMichaels are going to raise so assertively in their defense, that I wasn't lying at the scene of the crime when I said we grabbed our guns because we had seen a video of this guy before where he had his hands in a threatening manner as though he might have had a firearm. But that's a fascinating aspect of something that happened 2 weeks prior, and it's a contemporaneous report.
Yeah, quick clarification though. When do they say they saw him put his hand in his pocket? Before or after he's inside the home? So
I can tell you only what the dispatch operator wrote as that operator was listening. And it looks as though there's some coming in out of the home and into the home. And then he notes that he sees the offender in the home. It's dark at this point. I think it's about, I might be off a little, but I think it's somewhere around 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And he sees a flashlight. So whoever that person is going through that home under construction has a flashlight. So that's an important part as well, because some people have said, well, goodness, if Arbery was just looking at the construction, as I've personally done many times, I've walked into homes under construction. It's fascinating. I want to see what it's like. At night, it's a different thing. If you're going into a home at night with a flashlight, it might be considered a different way. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying what will be presented to the jury, and the jury might feel that this is now changing the narrative slightly, right?
Yeah, and I'm wondering if he's reaching into his pocket for the flashlight.
Could be. It could be that he's reaching into the pocket for the flashlight, and it's the operator saying this. It's not Travis. The operator is sort of, simultaneously writing down what Travis is saying on the phone. So whether Travis said he's reaching into his shorts or whether he's reaching into his pocket, I don't know. All I can tell you is what I have on the record from the translator. But I can say this is 2 weeks prior to the shooting incident. And there is a reference to two references to reaching into the shorts.
Now, there's a 911 transcript. Did anything come of it? Was there any sort of incident report? Did police respond? And what happened?
Yeah, no, they're really, I mean, listen, there's that 911 call, which you can take it for what it's worth, what the dispatcher thinks that dispatcher's hearing and is sort of writing quickly. But then a police officer did the investigation, the follow-up. They waited there. Travis waited there for the police to arrive and then gave a report to somebody named Officer Rash with the Glynn County Police Department. And there's an incident report from this day. Again, it's 2 weeks before the Arbery shooting. And so I can tell you what Officer Rash said in his words. I responded to 220 Satilla Drive, that's the location of the house under construction, in reference to an unknown black male trespassing within the construction site of a new home. Property owner, Larry English, has an ongoing issue with an unknown black male continually trespassing upon the property. The unknown male appears to be a lighter-skinned black male, slender build, approximately 5'10" to 6 feet. Both arms look to be covered in tattoos. Male has a 3 to 4 inch twist dreads hairstyle. The witness, Travis McMichaels, said he observed the unknown male cut across and enter onto the property of 220 Satilla Drive. He observed the unknown male run back through the open house under construction toward the area of the backyard. McMichael watched the front of the property until the officers arrived on scene. So this is notable, Vinny, because this is Officer Rash's account, and nowhere does it say, Travis told me that he was afraid that this man might have a gun because he was reaching into his shorts, pockets, or waistband. There's no mention of it here, but this is Officer Rash's account. This is not Travis's account. This is Officer Rash's account of what Travis told him. So I find that interesting as well, because the call had twice mentioned he's reaching into his pocket, but the officer, when he writes up his report, doesn't mention a waistband or a pocket. I will go on to say some other things that is very interesting from this police report, and it has to do with some other aspects of this incident. Mr. English, the property owner, advised his security cameras show that the male appeared to be the same unknown male from all of the previous incidents. It appears the unknown male is only trespassing. He has yet to see where anything has been taken. These videos and a description of the unknown male have been distributed throughout the neighborhood's Facebook page and Nextdoor app. The officer continues to say, I spoke to many residents about this and that have never seen the male before. Now we get a little bit more of a picture here, Vinny, as to why everybody seemed to know about this, right? Who shared the video? Who knows each other? Who's seen the video? It went out on Facebook. It went out on the Nextdoor app. It's a community app where neighborhoods can share things. I'm on it, and I get notifications of car break-ins all the time. So it's not now unusual that all these people who are players would know about this video from the 11th, because the officer said it's shared on Nextdoor and on Facebook. What's really interesting here, though, is that note all the other previous incidents. I read a report today. Actually, it was a lawyer's statement from Mr. English, because he's sort of aghast that he's involved in this at all. And the statement was, there have been 4 or 5 of these break-ins going all the way back to October. And the narratives through all the reports and Mr. English's lawyers that they're all the same person.
Now, Larry English spoke with Chris Cuomo last night on CNN. Let's take a listen to what he had to say about this.
The McMichaels told police in the police report here that he had been seen, Arbery had been seen on surveillance video. Did you share this video with the McMichaels?
No, not whatsoever.
Did they know of any past incidents at your construction site?
I'm not sure about that.
Nothing you told them about?
No,
Were you aware of any string of burglaries that they say were going on in that neighborhood? Because we can't find police records of any string of burglaries in the neighborhood.
I was.
And what did you know about what was going on in the neighborhood?
I only knew of secondhand information that maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of January that a vehicle had been entered and some guns taken out of it.
Are you aware that it was the McMichaels who filed that report?
No,
That's what police records show, according to our reporting on this, that they had reported it. Do you have any relationship with the McMichaels? Do you have any feel for these gentlemen?
no.
All right. So, a couple of things. Number one, nothing's ever taken. So to me, it's still a mystery why he's returning to go there through the course of months, through the course of this construction. And that's an unanswered question. But the other thing is the videos, because the videos are out and he's saying he's not sharing them. How about, we're getting reporting from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution on this issue. What are they saying here?
So I listened to that interview with Chris Cuomo, and I believe Mr. English because he is corroborated in his actions. And we know that through a neighbor. Don't forget, Mr. English doesn't live there. He's not in that neighborhood. He's building a house. He lives like 200 miles away, and he's been terribly, terribly sick. And he's been going through surgeries, et cetera. So he's been sort of really removed from what's been going on in his construction site. This is supposed to be a place where he was going to retire, according to his lawyer, with his wife and have an easy life. The neighbor across the backyard is a man by the name of Diego Perez. And the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, to your point, Vinny, spoke with Mr. Perez about his knowledge of all of this. And lo and behold, it turns out he's very connected to all of this. Because Mr. Perez they share the backyard, they're adjacent to each other, they had a relationship in that whenever the security camera would tweak, there was an alert, a motion sensor, Mr. English and Mr. Perez would confer. And Mr. Perez agreed, look, I'll go and help you out here. I'll go and take a look whenever I can. I'm glad to help out because that's upsetting. You're 200 miles away and I'm right here. So I can tell you about some of the reporting, the account of that next door neighbor, Mr. Perez, and how the Atlanta Journal-Constitution depicted it because they interviewed him and they discussed with him the February 11th incident. Again, 2 weeks before the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. So the owner, Larry English, texted the picture to Mr. Perez because they've got a relationship, right? And Mr. Perez is helping him to figure out what's going on inside that house. Perez says he was armed when he left his home. So obviously he was nervous about this. And he walked towards the house under construction, which is across his backyard. Travis lives only a few doors down, drove up from the opposite direction and stopped his truck. And this is a quote that the Journal gives. Travis saw him, meaning saw the suspect, in the yard, and Travis stopped. He goes on to be quoted, he confronted the man halfway into the yard. He said the man reached for his waistband and Travis got spooked and went down the road. Yet again, one more corroboration of what Mr. McMichaels said at the crime scene where Ahmaud Arbery lay dead. In that police interview, he said, we'd seen things before where he'd had his hand in his waistband. Here is a secondary corroboration. You had the 911 call where Travis actually said it to the operator. Now you have the neighbor saying this to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, that on that date, February 11th, that incident, that's what happened. Travis came up and he saw him on the road, and Travis had said this man reached for something in his waistband and I took off. That's my paraphrasing. I'm going to continue though. When Travis McMichael returned, his father Gregory was with him and armed. The elder McMichael called the police. So in the incident 2 weeks prior, They came with guns, at least Mr. Perez did, and Gregory McMichael, the senior, did, and they called the police at the same time. They did that. Perez said they recognized the young man who had been in other security camera videos at the construction site in the months before. And here's a quote from Perez. All we knew about him was that he was the guy who kept showing up on our cameras. Nobody knew who it was, but Perez identified the man as definitely the deceased man on the road on February 23rd, 2 weeks later. This is really of note, though, because again, if you're going to break down every element of this crime, and believe me, lawyers will break down every single element of this crime. They might even be watching right now and saying, yeah, we got those reports too. But Perez is confirming where he got the video. He's confirming his relationship with the homeowner. He also confirms many of the details in Travis's February 11th police call, right? And also confirming that what the father, senior Mr. McMichael, said at the scene. And this is what's important, Vinny, as always, it's contemporaneous, right? It's at the time before anybody was ever dead, before anybody was ever shot. This is contemporaneous reporting when nobody has a dog in the fight, so to speak.
Hey, it's fascinating stuff, and you are 100% right, Ashley. This is going to be part of the legal battle. The defense is going to try very hard to get all of this in front of a jury,
Right.
just to create issues, which is what they do, and try to create
Vinny,
some basis for the state of mind of the McMichaels.
Thank you, sir. Oh, you're such a good lawyer. I really want people watching right now. Don't send me messages. Don't shoot the messenger. What I am trying to do is give you the facts of the case and all the facts leading up to it, because they will all be part of the story. They will be part of both sides of the story. You can litigate them all you want at home, but I'm the messenger. These are in the reports. They're going to come out. You heard it here first. I mean, that's what our hope is, right? I have no dog in this fight. I don't want anyone to think, good God, you're on the McMichaels side. I'm on no one's side. I just want to know what happened. What happened leading up to this? And this gives us some window, just some. It does not tell us what happened in that altercation and what was the state of mind as to why they got into the altercation to the level that they did, Vinny.
Absolutely. Prosecutors will argue, try to keep it out, but ultimately evidence drives trials and the verdict. Thanks so much, Ashley. Appreciate it.